What's going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about the NBA. Got a lot of stuff to get into today. Got to talk about the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, and Minnesota Timberwolves, and Oklahoma City Thunder, and also a lot of variety of things that has to do with the NBA. Now, the first thing I'm gonna get into is the Milwaukee Bucks. They fired their coach last night, Adrian Griffin. Now, here's the thing about Adrian Griffin. Adrian Griffin, he didn't have any say so in the organization at all. Now, stay with me. There's one thing that everybody needs to know. He didn't emphasize defense. He never did because when you look at the statistics of the Milwaukee Bucks, they got a good offense. Credit, they got Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, a plethora of bench players who are starters. And now, all of a sudden, you are struggling on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I look at that, is it's half on the coach, and then it's other half is players not being in position. But you shouldn't be 30 and 13 and have a struggling defense. You really should. If you want to be a top defense, you shouldn't be giving up 125 points a game and scoring 129 points a game. You gonna lose. Now there are some uncharacteristic losses that came. They lost to Cleveland. Damn, they almost lost to the Pistons last night, and we already know how I feel about the Pistons. I'm not even gonna get into the Pistons right now. But the Milwaukee Bucks, they didn't have a blueprint. They didn't have a blueprint, even though that we all say that he didn't have a voice in the locker room. The players wasn't buying into his system, his blueprint, and that's why Adrian Griffin got fired. Now, who they just hired, Doc Rivers, I have no problem with that. But what he's got to do, he's got to win a championship because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Hold on, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna show this right here. So there have been 5 times that Doc Rivers has had a 3-1 lead in a playoff series, and he's lost 4 of them. So this is what you get in Milwaukee. You getting a head coach that don't know how to close the deal on 3-1 series leads. And you also getting a head coach that emphasize more defense than offense. So Doc Rivers, hey, he's got a good coaching resume. He coached Orlando, coached Boston, won a championship in Boston. But the last few stops, they have been a little iffy. You got a good. He had a good team with the Clippers, but somehow you ended up folding in the most pressure-packed moments. And then in Philadelphia last year, you ended up losing a 3-1 series lead. Excuse me. You ended up losing the series to Boston in 7 games, and with James Harden not showing up and Joel Embiid not showing up. So Doc Rivers, you got your work cut out for you, brother. But do the Milwaukee Bucks know what they are doing? Before Doc Rivers was the head coach at Milwaukee, he was a basketball consultant. He was telling Adrian Griffin what to do, how to do, and get this game plan in and implement this blueprint and that blueprint. So basically, he had the short end of the deal anyway. And it was on top of that one of the top players on the team asked him, okay, let's hire him. But now we see after 43 games and putrid defensive production, he's out of there. So the Milwaukee Bucks, they got their work cut out for him. Doc Rivers, you got a good coach. You got a good coaching resume, but you only got one championship, and you won that one back in 2008. And last time I checked, It's 2014, so you going on 16 years as far as not winning the championship. So you got a small window to make this team into a championship team. Half of the season is over with, so they gonna give you a grace period. But next season and the season after that, if you don't win a championship with this team that is stacked, you need to be fired. And you do not need no more coaching recommendations from anybody, because we've already seen that you can't close series. And another stat I wanna mention is in the last 10 series, he's 6-10. Three and in those 10 series, he's had a 3-1 series lead 5 times. So it's something about when he gets to a 3-1 lead, can't close the deal. I don't know whether is it just his coaching staff lets up, players let up, whoever lets up, they don't need to let up, because Milwaukee, even though right now they number 2 in the NBA, they should be number 1 in the NBA, because you have no reason losing to the Cavaliers like you did. Miami, you lost to Miami, and you also lost to the Indiana Pacers. So the defensive blueprint, Milwaukee doesn't have none. They need to work on a defensive blueprint. That's all I have for Milwaukee. Doc Rivers, you're a good coach. Hopefully, wish you nothing but the best in your coaching stint with the Milwaukee Bucks. The next team I want to talk about is the Boston Celtics. Boston, top team in the league. Only problem I have with their game plans is they shoot too many threes, and if the threes ain't going in, then their whole playbook is garbage. What they need to do is not shoot so many threes. The average attempts of threes that they have in a game, as far as the Boston Celtics, is 45. Way too many threes that you are shooting. If they bring those 3-point shot attempts down to maybe 20, maybe 25, maybe 30, then they might have a chance. But that's the way their game plan is right now. As far as if the threes are not dropping, then the Celtics are gonna lose. So that's all I see. That's all I have a problem with their game plan. The coach, Joe Mazzulla, he's doing a good job. Everybody else is doing a good job, but there is one thing. They two main players, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. One of them gonna have to give the other one extra space to create, because when they both on the floor at the same time, it's almost like hot potato. It's like, who's shooting it? Are you gonna shoot or am I gonna shoot? So they need to have good team camaraderie, and plus they need to have better team communication in Boston, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I got them going to the NBA Finals, if not winning the NBA Finals. But with a team like this, you should at least make the conference finals, if not the NBA Finals. You made the conference finals last year and lost to Miami. That is a monkey wrench that's held against Joe Mazzulla. Everything that happened last year, it was a complete train wreck in Boston. This year, you got the head coach, you got the right team, you got the right players. Now it's time for you to hoist up another championship. Can you do that? It remains to be seen. That's all I got for the Boston Celtics. The next team I want to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, Oklahoma City, they are deadlocked as far as record-wise with Minnesota. But do I think that Oklahoma and Minnesota are better than the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets just won the championship last year, ladies and gentlemen. The Denver Nuggets have a better team than Oklahoma or Minnesota do. The bench the bench players for the Denver Nuggets, they have a much better bench than Oklahoma and the Minnesota Timberwolves do. Now credit, the Minnesota Timberwolves had no business losing that game to Charlotte not last night, but the other night. They had no business losing that game. And plus, had one of your best scorers score 62 points. 62 points, there is no way that you should lose that game. But I look at what was the other four doing on the floor? Nothing. For one guy to put up 62 points and you still lose, it don't make no sense. Now with Denver, they have a team of multiple players that can put 15 to 20 points on the board. Not to mention, they still got Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the flamethrower, as I like to call him. Now that is what I see with Denver. The worst case scenario for Denver is they lose in the NBA Finals. Best case scenario for Denver is they win in the NBA Finals and become back-to-back champions. The next team I want to talk about is the Clippers, Los Angeles Clippers. Those four players, they found their role. Paul George, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard, they have found their roles in that system. I told y'all, for James Harden to thrive in this system, he needs to average 18 points and 6 assists, because we know that he ain't gonna play defense. And that's exactly what he's been doing. And now the Clippers are number 4 in the Western Conference. Can they keep this up? It remains to be seen. But I like what I'm seeing. But it's a few more teams that are on their heels that I'm about to get into. Now, another team I want to talk about, the New Orleans Pelicans. They are a good young and upcoming team, but it's about Zion Williamson. Can he stay healthy when the time gets big? Can he stay healthy for a long playoff run? Because the Pelicans bench, they got one of the best benches in the NBA. Now, it's all about, can Zion Williamson stay healthy? Now, with that, it remains to be seen. But I like what the New Orleans Pelicans is doing right now. They are 26-18, number 5 in the Western Conference Finals. They have totally exceeded my expectations, because I only thought that they would be a playoff team, but they have totally exceeded my expectations. Now, the next two teams I'm going to talk about is the Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings. Anybody can come out of the West this year. I mean, anybody can come out of the West. You have from their spots from 1 to 10, only 8 games separate those 10 teams. And as far as the West has always been strong, but the Eastern Conference is becoming strong too. So anybody can come out of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. With the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns, now y'all know how I feel about the Phoenix Suns. They have a good starting 5, but their bench production is non-existent. The Phoenix Suns bench is one of the worst in the NBA. That is what is going to hurt them in the playoffs. So I don't want to hear nothing from Phoenix Suns fans saying that we had the right team. We got plenty good starters. Yes, you got plenty good starters, but you ain't got no bench to carry your starters if they have an off shooting night like they've had in the last few games. That's what's going to hurt you in the playoffs. And the Sacramento Kings, just like the New Orleans Pelicans, a young and upcoming bunch. Can they make it to the second round? Can they make it to the Western Conference Finals? I don't think that they'll make it to the Western Conference Finals, but they will be held for a. They will be held. They'll give a team hell in a 7-game series because we seen how they gave the Golden State Warriors grief last year. It went to a 7th game, and if it wasn't for Steph Curry scoring 55 points, yeah, if it wasn't for Steph Curry scoring 55 points, Golden State loses that. So the Sacramento Kings are a young and upcoming team. I look at the Dallas Mavericks. Only thing with the Dallas Mavericks is their only thing with the Dallas Mavericks is their blueprint is we make more shots, we score more points. That's how we'll win. You are gonna have to defend somebody when it comes to the playoffs, and the Dallas Mavericks, their defense is one of the worst in the NBA. Now to the next team, the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz, they treading with water. That's what they are. They trying to keep their head above water. They are 22-23, slightly under 500. But do I think Utah is gonna make the playoffs? No. They'll be lucky if they make the play-in tournament, which I don't see them making the play-in tournament. I'll put my money on the Houston Rockets to make the play-in tournament. But all in all, as far as the NBA goes, this has been an intriguing NBA season, to say the least. In 2 weeks, we about to have the NBA All-Star game and All-Star break. But from what we have all seen and from where we are looking at and the team NBA standings, I still got Boston going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, is Milwaukee or Philadelphia going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals? It remains to be seen. We got to see how well Doc Rivers is going to cope and implement his strategies and scheme, because we already know what the Milwaukee Bucks scheme was coming into the season. It's outscore everybody and make more shots than the other team. But I can tell you, I can tell you one thing, America. I can tell you one thing: the Milwaukee Bucks defense will be better than it was. Will be better under Doc Rivers than it was under Adrian Griffin. You won't see too many nights where the Milwaukee Bucks is giving up 120 or 135 points in a game no more, because Doc Rivers, he is a defensive specialist. So I got no problems with that hire. When it comes to pressure packed moments, can the Milwaukee Bucks produce? Now, here's the they've been beneficial with this early season schedule. They have had the easiest schedule out of anybody in the NBA all season. But the second half of the season, like I've been saying, the second half of the season, that's when you see teams that will separate themselves from the pretenders to the contenders. Now we will see if Milwaukee can do that after the All-Star break. Now, as far as the New York Knicks, average team, they are average at best. But do I see them making the NBA Finals? No, I don't. And I'm gonna say that again. Stephen A. I do not see the New York Knicks making it to the finals. Now, credit, you might win a first round playoff series and you might get to the conference semis, but you are not getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. So calm down, Stephen A. I see that you are I see that you are happy with your New York Knicks, but we ain't at the second half of the season yet. And so with that, that is my NBA talk video and reaction from the Milwaukee Bucks hiring Doc Rivers and firing Adrian Griffin. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, the key is always on time.